Okay, here's another part of my personal readings for 2016. And what I decided to do, I've got a variety of areas of my life I'm going to look at separately. And so I did one on relationships, and now I'm doing physical health. And I'm using the Lenormand deck, and I believe it was my sister who got me the Lenormand for Christmas. So this is a brand new deck. It's a very different system than tarot. It has about half of the cards of a tarot deck and is read very differently, and the symbols mean very different things for the most part. Some of them are similar, but they also have very different symbols. So this is very new to me. I think this is like the third time I've tried to do something with the Lenormand deck. And what I have is the Enchanted Lenormand Oracle is what they're calling it. And so I'm going by the meanings that were in the guidebook that came with this specific deck, and it was by Caitlin Matthews. And so very new experience. I can't tell you that there was any particular logic for me using this for the physical health, but that's what I chose. And it seems to be making quite a bit of sense. Kind of repetitive sense, but quite a bit of sense. So what they say for the spread that I did is I did a 9-card spread, is that you're supposed to relate each card to the center card, but that the upper left card is kind of the tone or the overall energy of the reading. And for that card I got the fox, which I believe means cleverness. It can also mean escape, but I think it means I need to be clever. And a lot of what's here is not new to me, is not surprising, but it confirms the validity of of using the Lenormand, that it will give me reliable answers. Because I have Lyme disease, which is a complicated disease, and I've been managing it for years, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to manage it. And I am in the process of doing that right now after a flare-up. And so this cleverness is exactly right. You have to be alert and use your wits to be aware, which I am not always. It can sneak up on me. So this fox can also represent the disease itself, which does sneak up on you, and it's some very clever bacteria as well. So if I go through this and I relate each card to the moon. Oh, excuse me. The moon in this deck means work. It can also mean cycles. And since the Lyme disease does wax and wane, I think that is very appropriate, and it does take work to manage it. It's a very appropriate card. So if I relate the moon to the fox, then I have work cleverly. That's the message, work cleverly. If I relate the moon to the sun being success, but also heat. And I do use heat. So work with heat, work with the sun, work night and day, work continuously. So that's an intriguing thing to come up with. So I need to be working with heat. I think too, awareness maybe of cycles of inflammation, which is over the past couple of years has been more of an issue, or even awareness of inflammation. I also got a book for Christmas that one of the chapters, it's on Lyme disease, so one of the chapters is about inflammation, and I did want to become more aware of that. So this can also be, to me, that sun is awareness of cycles. Okay, and the other card at the top is what in a more traditional Lenormand deck is the cross, and in this one they call the crossing. It's kind of a trial that you have to go through to move forward on your path. It looks like a bridge, a dangerous, unpleasant-looking passage that you have to go through. And so if I relate the moon to that, it could be cycles of passage, cycles of trials, working to get past, I would even call them maybe bottlenecks, working to get past trials, working to get past difficult periods, that sort of thing. And then we're coming down now to the middle on the left to the birds. So this one's a little less obvious. Certainly the birds can mean to communicate. I could say periodic communication. I am working with a doctor that I'm actually not going to be in the physical presence of, but we have regular conversations checking in. It could be suggesting that it would be good for me to get more involved with some forums around Lyme disease. One of the issues that I've been having is maintaining a steady level with it, to make sure that it doesn't creep back up like a fox creeping up to steal my energy. So it could be suggesting that I need to work more on communicating about my Lyme disease and staying up on the news, that I need to be careful to watch the news. There have been some really great breakthroughs recently, just in understanding, not necessarily in medication, but in understanding of it. So it is actually a good time for that kind of advice, to watch the news and the latest developments around this disease. Okay, now we're going to go to the middle right, which is the ring, which is about commitment. And even you can't see in that crystal ball that surrounds the ring. I doubt you can see it, but there's also a chain there. So I would love for this to mean work on breaking the chain. But I think it probably means that I need to remain committed to battling the disease and not drop my guard. But I would say, a lot of it is working to break its hold on me. 32, work. Now we're going down to the key here. Work to unlock the secrets. Well, I'm not quite in that position. If I were a researcher, yes. That one has me a little bit baffled. The key makes more sense in some other ways. So the key is about opening, exposing. Let me see what else they say about the key for 33. Breakthroughs, discoveries. Again, this one must be more for somebody who was in research. Certainly, I will stay open to, because it's insights in terms of how my own body fights it and works with it. Could even be that this key, you could translate it into search, to search, to work, to search for breakthroughs. Or when it says well-being, keyhole surgery, nah, well, I sure hope not. I hope I'm through with surgery for a while. Diagnosis, my goodness, do I need another diagnosis? I sure hope not. It can be working on understanding. I'm not seeing too much else here. So that one's a little bit, unless I end up communicating with people who are doing research. If we combine the 12 and the moon and the key, the birds and the moon and the key, that would result in that. Or I'm going to move on now. The moon and 9, the bouquet could mean, the bouquet is about recognition. And so it could be being recognized for your hard work or being rewarded for hard work, which is a lovely thing to see here, because a lot of times with these kinds of chronic things you feel like you're working hard and there is no reward except you're kind of barely keeping your head above water. And then there's the woman card in the lower left. So working with a woman or another woman, I think it's just me. I think it's saying you have to work and you have to be aware of the cycles. It is up to me. I think I am this woman. And so I've done that. You're supposed to relate everything to the middle card, which I did. And then you go ahead and you look at the top. You look at things horizontally. Then you look at things vertically. And then you look at them diagonally. So if I look at the top horizontally, I see pretty much if I'm clever, technically they say this Lenormand deck is of French origin. And so they assume that the grammar of the cards should be French, so that you would read them taking the cards to, in other words, with the fox, you would take the cards to the right of the fox and you would treat them as adjectives, like you would say a sunny trial is clever. Using heat to cross the bridge is smart. Okay, something of that. But you can also read it just as a narrative. Cleverness, so from left to the right. So you say cleverness using heat will lead to a successful trial, will get you across the bridge. Or sun, and I will tell you this, that I've found that the sun with vitamin D has been very important to me for restless leg. And so yeah, I've never been a sunbather, but I've learned in the past few years that I need to be very careful about getting the sun, getting in the sun, getting my sun. So it's saying that that's one way to be clever, is to use the sun or heat to my advantage when facing this trial. So if we go down to the middle set of 3, we have talking about the cycles, maybe we'll break the chain. Probably wishful thinking, but there it is. Talking about the cycles or the work involved would lead to more commitment. That could be, like I said, maybe I need to join a forum or something that will help keep me motivated. I could see that. That makes a lot of sense. And if we read it according to French grammar, we would say work communication, work to commit to communication, some things like that. I guess I'm not feeling a need to be quite that rigid. You know, I've got 3 cards here: commitment, work, and communication. And I think, you know, it makes sense. Work on your commitment to communication. I can see that. And communicate, and communication itself leading to better commitment. I can see that. That makes sense to me. The bottom 3, we have the woman, the bouquet, and the key. So if I read it in a narrative fashion, the woman receives recognition for understanding or for opening a door. I'm not sure what door I'm going to be opening. Maybe it's just being more open. When I had this, of course, when I got it, I was very sick. When I realized finally what it was I had, I was very sick, and so I was struggling to recover, and that's all I cared about. And then when I managed to get my head above water, or sort of, as I was thinking of it then, sort of my head above the earth of my grave, it was like, I don't want to think about this anymore. I don't want to talk about it. There were people who had said, oh, you should write about it, you know, and communicate about it. And there were already some really good people doing that, and I just wanted to get beyond it. I did not want to live my disease. I did not want to become completely embroiled in it. I wanted to leave it behind. Well, that didn't quite happen. I did actually. I was very successful for a while and was doing quite well health-wise, and then I started backsliding. So, thanks to some other challenges, actually, and not understanding the degree to which you have to stay on top of it. Even if you reach a period where you're doing quite well, I'm a firm believer that every 4 to 6 months or whatever, you need to hit yourself with antibiotics again. in order to stay on top of it. So, so maybe this is speaking to, it's time for me to engage more with my Lyme disease in terms of communicating and being open about it, and I don't know, we'll see. That is not something I was considering doing. And it's a tall order because it is so complicated. But here it is. The Lenormand deck is telling me that I will be rewarded if I open up and communicate more about that. So, all right. This, I will tell you, is a not uncommon response to a reading of any kind, is where you get information where you're like, oh, I'd rather not do that. I don't want to hear that. Okay, so there were our horizontals. Now for our verticals. So starting on the left, going down, clever communication about a woman, about myself, cleverly communicating. Okay, so maybe I don't need to be like a documentary in my openness. Maybe I can try to do it in a way that's a little more artful. Thank you, Fox. I appreciate that. That will make it less like drudgery. Maybe I can figure some way to do that. The middle, or it can mean, if we reverse the grammar, her communication is clever. It amounts to the same thing. I can see with this Lenormand that I'm going to drop what some people think of as a very strict adherence to how you make meaning with the cards. Okay, so the next three, top-down reading. I don't know, heat or success. Success with work brings rewards. Success with, or heat cycles brings rewards. Inflammation, working with inflammation brings rewards or recognition. Something along those lines. I'm not really seeing too many other. Working night and day brings rewards. The bouquet means recognition or reward, a gift. Certainly I would say both. To me, that also kind of means complete commitment, which is difficult. Because we all have other aspects of life that need to be addressed. So let's do the final vertical as trials. I don't know how trials or crossing the bridge would lead to, maybe sacrifice even, leads to commitment and openness. Committing to openness will get you across the bridge. Open commitment, maybe I need to make some sort of public declaration or something. Again, I think this kind of refers back to the birds and communication and that sort of thing. Certainly it is pretty much a continuous trial. Chained to Okay, so openness about your commitment will help you bridge the gap. I don't know. This one is not ending up having, certainly it takes commitment to cross the bridge. Openness and commitment to get to the other side. The other side is nice and green, and it looks like maybe it's the neck and wings of a phoenix. You will rise above using openness or understanding and commitment. So understanding and commitment will get you across the bridge into the new life. That would be lovely. Okay, diagonals from top left to bottom right. Understanding and work will lead to a clever solution, or being clever in how you work, or clever even about cycles, is the key. And it's interesting too with this work in here, because that way I said that, being clever with work, I do have to manage that constantly. My energy levels, being clever with work is part of the key, the solution. I can't work a regular 9 to 5, or I haven't been able to for years. I've been wanting to try it again, but I'm at this point right now, I'm 100% positive it would not work very well. I would have to be very, very clever. And then the top right to the bottom left, if we look at that, we have let's see, we have the crossing. Or a trial. So a woman is working to get across, yes. If I go from the bottom to the top, that's what you kind of get. Or to me, that all kinds of amounts to the same thing, because it's me. I'm the woman, me, working to get across. Or the crossing requiring me to work. It's kind of the same thing. So this ends up, when if I do everything exactly as you're supposed to do it, it ends up with a bunch of really mixed messages, not completely, because some of them are just repetitive, but it takes a long time to look at every single one of those. And some of them did end up having some interesting synergy, but I think what I'm taking away from this that I didn't already think about or know, having dealt with my health in this way for so long, is the notion of communicating. And I think that this is indicating that I need to communicate more about more than just with my doctor. That will help me. So I'm getting that, and also the thing about heat or inflammation, which has just sort of been a niggling thing. I haven't done it. And Amy, who got me these cards, she also gave me this really wonderful heating pad, a professional heating pad. It's marvelous. And so I may get more serious about applying that in a systematic way and reading more about inflammation. and making sure I do my sun worshiping, getting out in the sun. Anything else I can see? Yeah, and I think that those are my most, and to work further on my understanding and to remain alert about the news that's going on. I do know of some forums I could join that would probably be a very good idea for me. Okay. I'm going to call that it for my health reading for 2016. Thanks so much, especially if you actually made it to the end of 30 minutes of me talking about my health. You should get some kind of reward. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.